Hey y'all, it's Zay, and today we're going to go over my top 5 bows in Eldenring. This will be the first of a series. Today we're just going to do standard bow types. I'm not including short bows, great bows, or crossbows. I'll make separate videos for those later. This video is based off my opinion and personal experience, so if your favorite bow isn't on this list, it doesn't mean that the bow is not good. I just don't care for it. You might be super great at it, but probably not, because if it's not on this list, it's probably trash. Okay, so in number 5, we have the pulley bow. This bow has the highest range out of all the bows, and that's honestly its biggest draw. Most bows have a 50 for range, and this has a 55. It does decent damage, but I mean, the range is the real reason it got onto this list. It's a good bow, but it just barely makes the list because you find it in mid-game in Volcano Manor. It's not good enough to justify the weight, in my opinion. It doesn't have the ability to fuse Ash of War, so you have to use Mighty Shot, which, it's not a bad Ash of War, but almost every bow has Mighty Shot, so doesn't really stand out in too many aspects. In order to find this bow, go to the Mount Gelmir campsite Site of Grace, and you're gonna have to fight a couple soldiers on your way up the mountain. Pretty standard soldiers, nothing too difficult. There will be a pumpkin head. Fight past all that, and you'll find a tower. Climb the tower, and at the very top, the bow's sitting on a corpse. Number 4, Erd Tree Bow. Split physical and holy damage. This one actually deserves to be higher up on the list, but you don't have the opportunity to get this until mid to late game, which is coincidentally right when you find all of the bosses with holy resistance. So it drastically increases the amount of time that this is going to stay in the item bag as opposed to being used. It's tragic too, because it's actually not bad. In every area before Lando, holy damage does great, and if you pair it with golden arrows, you'll do even better. If you want to get this bow for yourself, travel to the Erd Tree Sanctuary Site of Grace, run outside, and climb up the tree trunk. After you do that, you're going to want to go onto the roof, and on the second floor, the bow's in the back. It's too bad none of the bows scale higher than a D, because if this had a B or even an A ranking, this bow would be great for faith builds mid to late game. Number 3 is the horn bow. This bow does physical and magic damage. It has decent stats, but the important part is that you can fuse Ashes of War. That's truly amazing and unique, since there's only 3 bows that can add Ashes of War. You add Enchanted Shot and you can't miss, and Rain of Arrows turns this into a crowd control weapon. Makes the bow very versatile. The bow is pretty viable into the mid to late game, and you can find it fairly early from Limgrave. Go to the Siofra Riverbank Site of Grace, and you take a quick horse ride to an area under Hallowhorn grounds. Number 4, the Serpent Bow. The Serpent Bow causes every arrow fired to deal poison damage, and that alone is why this bow is in second place. Bows take a large investment before they do anything near significant damage. People don't choose standard bows because they want damage cannons, they pick them in order to have a ranged option. Status effects bring bows to a completely different level. This bow allows you to proc poison on almost anything, and it can be obtained almost as soon as you reach Torrent, meaning this could and should be your very first bow. Used with serpent arrows for faster poison buildup. This is located in the abandoned cave in Caelid. And honorable mentions, first up we have the longbow. It's one of the starting weapons for the samurai class, so that's a plus. If you pick that class, you have ranged from the jump. But it's not particularly special in my opinion. You can add ashes to it, so that's nice, but I don't know, I feel like it just really doesn't stand out in any particular capacity. So, you know, pretty basic. The second honorable mention is the Albanork bow. This bow is actually pretty good, and you can add Ashes of War, but it's a drop from the Albanork archers in the consecrated snowfield, which means it's not only a weapon that you can only get in the end game after collecting something specific, but it's entirely dependent on the RNG gods, and those gods are not merciful. And that drops this bow down by so much. I can't be bothered to do this in a run. It's too much work. I did it once for this video and never again. And in number 1, we have the black bow. This bow is my favorite bow for multiple reasons. Firstly, I just think it looks cool. Simplistic beauty. More importantly, it's the only standard bow that comes with the barrage skill. This means you can proc status effects of all kinds far faster than the other bows on this list. In my opinion, proccing a status effect as quickly as possible should be the goal of all bow users. You can proc almost any status effect because there's arrows for everything, and bows don't scale very well in the grand scheme of things, so I think it's really just not worth it to try to get bulk damage. You should be going for a status effect like poison, bleed, sleep, something, but the barrage skill on a bow with this range and agility is just too good to pass up. This bow basically operates like a short bow with the range of a long bow. You can fire arrows quickly and pull off jump shots, which keeps this bow viable even when your enemies are far closer than you'd prefer. If you're doing a bow only run, this is the bow for you. This bow can be found in Landau, and you have to get it before beating Malekith. If it wasn't so good, that would drop it down, but I just feel like this bow performs so well that the difficulty in getting it is warranted. Okay, those were my top 5 bows. The Serpent Bow and Black Bow were actually my main weapons on my last playthrough of Eldenring. At some point, maybe I'll make a video explaining my bow build for that. My next top 5 is going to be great bows, and at some point after that, we're probably going to do short bows. Just knock all the bows out at the same time. And yeah, that's all I got. Deuces.